The following is a presentation of Playfly Sports Properties.
Man, I got it right. My hand in my bag.
Buckeyes and trying to turn to the goal line. Puts the football over.
Cause man, I got it swag. Man, I got it swag. My
Hands to Gifty.
He stuffed him. He stuffed him.
You know I'm popping tag.
Bad snap. Bobble. Scooped up. Here come the Spartans. Down the sideline. Racing into the end zone.
He hits it. He hits it. He did it.
This is Sparta!
We had a couple guys that cramped up in the game, which is unacceptable. Had a couple situations where we had guys with hands on their hips, in the game, which makes no sense. And we have a standard of performance, that's a high level, and we weren't at that level consistently in the game. We didn't play complementary football consistently in the game.
So welcome to episode 2 of This is Sparta. I'm your host, Jason Strayhorn, and my co-host here, Otis Wiley and Jehuu Caulcrick. How you fellas doing?
Well, good. Week 1 in the books, ready for week 2.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm just, man.
Yeah?
I'm just,
You ready?
Every time we talk Spartan football, Spartan anything, last week was great, man. It was that first trial where, we've been back all season, off season, getting ready for this one.
Yep.
All the stuff in the pieces, you probably felt it, was coming together smooth. And then we got the win, which is obviously the top of the notch there.
Without question. We just heard the words of head coach Mel Tucker as he broke down the game, and he talked about the good, the bad, the ugly, things that had happened, obviously the injuries, which we're going to get into later on in the show. But overall, Michigan State winners, 35-13 over the Western Michigan Broncos. It was a near capacity crowd in the woodshed, gentlemen.
Yeah,
and how was that environment down there?
Before we get into it, let's stop and let's give Spartan Nation some credit here. Let's give them some credit. Spartan Stadium, the woodshed was absolutely electric.
On a Friday night and a holiday.
Yes,
Never seen it
absolutely
before
electric.
like that on a Friday.
The kids, obviously you could tell capacity of our freshman record-breaking students that have been admitted, and then you got the sophomores, but you've never seen an all-white crowd. Kind of gave you that feel of Penn State, right?
Right.
All white,
Oh, yeah, the
and they went
whiteouts.
all the way to the top, and I think everyone's seen on the social media graphic of the pictures of the sea level on the stairs.
Yeah.
The deep sea level was pretty dope, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was sweet.
Yeah, you get down, you're like, all right, now we're in the deep end, which is great. So I love the buzz, and then the crazy rally towels, man. You saw that. That just electrified the whole entire night there.
Just a great atmosphere. Spartan Nation really showed out, and it really affect the ball game. That's one thing that's so important about what you guys do in Spartan Stadium, in that woodshed, and especially in the deep end, the student section, is you affect the game. You make it tough for the opposing team, the opposing quarterbacks, to get those calls out, and defenses, right?
Yeah, it's truly an added advantage. If you have a crowd that's live, electric, like it is, it's definitely plays into the home field advantage. Because as a former running back, as an offense, I remember being at Penn State, 7 yards deep in the backfield, and the quarterback turned around, and you have to read lips because you can't hear.
Yeah.
So that's the added advantage that the 12th man, the deep end, the Spartan Nation brings every single time they come into Spartan Stadium, and that's how it should be.
Well, let's get into some of the X's and O's of this game that just passed a week ago, and do our MSU Game Day stat breakdown presented by IHOP. The 2x2 breakfast combo equals one delicious meal. Enjoy 2 pancakes, 2 eggs your way, and 2 pieces of bacon for only $5 at IHOP. Hurry in and enjoy this deal for a limited time. Dine in only. Price and participation may vary. Restrictions may apply. All right, guys. So a week ago, you had Western Michigan, as we said, scored 13 points. Michigan State was at 35. But in the fourth quarter was a much closer game. You had it was an 8-point game at one point in the fourth quarter, which brought a lot of people some heartburn, right?
Oh yeah. You think about the touchdowns that we didn't capitalize on. And you saw Payton Thorne address it in the media and the conferences, that the press conference, he overthrew, Reed a couple times where, the timing where you think, we've had a good relationship throughout this season. You overthrew Keon Coleman, and he addressed it where I think we're going to see, and I hope we do see, more buttoned up Payton Thorne. I don't think he was nervous. I think it's just a time of you just got to get the timing up, being in Sparta Stadium with a packed field back in the atmosphere there.
Yeah, it's simple. You can work on all the routes on air, you can work on it in practice against your own guys, but when you get out there and you're playing a different opponent, you see things happen differently. There's different types of movement that you might not prepare for, but it's all going to come together. That chemistry between Thorne and his receiver is going to grow larger and larger, and they're going to grow closer and closer, and they're going to be in sync before we even hit Big Ten play.
Good point. I think there was two things that could have been at play with Payton Thorne. Number one, he was playing against his father's team on the other side, and it looked like he had some early jitters with his footwork in the early parts of the game. The first couple of series, he was 12 of 24, 233 yards for 4 touchdowns now.
Oh, yeah.
Four touchdowns and a pick. 4 touchdowns now. He's the 4th game for him. It ties Connor Cook for the most 4 touchdown ball games in a career. Payton Thorne is now at the top of that. He wants to break that if he could against the Akron Zips a week from now. And the other thing that I thought was a big factor in him was that he was not able to get himself bailed out by one player in Kenneth Walker III. You had a running back by committee a little bit with Jalen Berger and also Jarek Broussard.
The Killer Bees.
I like that. Here we go. The Killer Bees.
Jehuu has
just throwing it out there.
Like a true running back.
Just throwing it out there. Every running back by committee, you have to have an identity. You have to have some type of nickname.
You
gotta have it, right?
The Killer Bees.
174 yards between the two, 16 carries, 120 yards for Jalen Berger. 10 carries for 54 yards for Broussard. How do they do in your mind?
I thought it was a very good 1-2 punch. Berger, obviously, he's the more elusive one, the one that's going to, have your long runs, the speed. And Broussard, he's going to be he's going to be the pounder. He's going to be the one that you can give the ball between the tackles, and he's going to get you those tough yards. But I just feel like overall, they have to grow confidence with their offensive line. They have to learn to play off their offensive line. They have to learn, okay, my tackle likes to do this, and I'm going to read off that. And that chemistry, once that chemistry starts growing throughout the season, that's when you're going to see breakout games, especially from Berger.
Oh, that's a great point there.
Think about, we had other receivers score and tight end scores. You got Reed that clearly has all the attention, but that gives Spartan Nation some confidence in our offense that we have other guys now. It's not just a 1-2 by committee with Naylor and Reed. We have multiple guys, and your boy, said Trey Mosley, he's this guy, right?
I'm telling you.
You were right.
Yeah, he was right,
He did score a tutty.
And Keon Coleman, man, we just saw, this guy.
He's a freak.
Yes.
Athletic. That's the first word that comes to mind is just freak.
Yeah, he had a press conference where he talked about, the 50-50 balls in his mind are really 100% balls. I said, wow.
That's swag right there.
That's a lot of swag. That's a lot of confidence.
Yeah. Now, as a DB, I'm like, no, that's not true. But that's also.
Some size,
but still, that's
got size.
That guy,
But most defensive backs, they don't match up to the 6'4", 215-pound Keon Coleman, phenom.
Oh, man. Yeah, speed. He has it all, every level. But I love that you see those guys. We talked about all levels. They block. Yes. So, once our running game, which, starts to get that traction, it's going to be a lethal offense.
Yeah, you talk about how there were 4 different receivers that caught touchdowns. Talk about the transfer. Daniel Barker in his first game in the green and white, the tight end transfer from Illinois, catching a beautiful one-handed grab, as we're going to show right now, into the deep end, right by the student section. What'd you think about that play?
We were on the sideline. I think we were taking a picture at the time. And then I looked.
You weren't paying attention?
Well, we were paying attention, but I looked, and I thought it was Reed that caught the pass because it was a one-handed so smooth, and he comes running off. I was like, man, that was our tight end. Those guys, you could tell, he's a gamer, clearly. Yeah. We knew we were getting when he transferred in, but to have another level of threat in the tight end, which we talked about the mismatches he can create, it's another element to our game. So I'm excited, man. That was, even though we had mishaps and there was mess ups, but positive in the offense, man.
That's the kind of splash you want to make when you transfer into a new team, playing your first game at home in front of that kind of crowd.
Yeah.
You want to show out for Spartan Nation to say, accept me. This is why I came to Michigan State, to be great. But I got to get on you guys for something.
Oh, what?
You guys lied to me.
About what?
I told you you can never ever trust a kicker.
Oh man.
Oh, we're bringing it. We got to speak confidence in this man.
Hold on. Our kickers did okay. Look,
Compared to
Bryce Behringer, he's a so-called kicker / punter.
Punter, that's a defensive guy. That's a defensive guy.
Defensive guy.
Punter's
Okay.
the defense's best weapon.
Yeah.
But
averaging
kicker-
50.5 yards a punt.
Yeah. Oh, I'm
good.
all in on him.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're talking about Stone, or are we talking
Yes,
about?
just the kicker. You guys said if he goes anywhere on that field, you guys coined him as the next Sebastian Janikowski, pretty much.
No, we didn't.
Replay that.
No,
You said
we're gonna
anywhere
replay
on the
that.
field that
Replay
guy's
that.
going to go. If it's over the 50, he's going to be
not.
making
No,
it.
Absolutely not.
And I tried
he had
telling
the leg,
you guys.
He had the leg, and he was perfect on his PATs. Okay, this is his first game. He's a true freshman. Give him some grace. Let him work into it. He will. I know he missed one field goal, but hey, this kid has the leg and he's got the moxie. So don't be so down on Stone. Not yet. Give him some time, Jehuu.
Now, when he hits that 50-yarder,
Yeah, right. What are you gonna say?
Where we go?
I'll be running him down on the field, being the biggest fan.
You're gonna carry him off.
He'll be like you in your picture, Stray.
Right, yeah, there you go. You gotta get carried out of here, this Spartan Stadium, man. That's awesome. Now, talk about young guys that are coming along. Talk about Jermaine Bernard, how he caught his first touchdown pass in Spartan Stadium as a true
On a slant
freshman.
and all the way go. Like, you can't picture that like any perfect. Like, as a freshman coming in, you obviously visualize making plays, but your first touch and you take it to the crib, like, I mean, to be honest, it's not saying like, hey, this is obviously I don't got to do nothing else, but
You
but
can't
it's true.
script it.
Yeah, you definitely can script it, and you set yourself apart from like what you did in practice, which we saw and everyone's heard. This guy's a dude. He goes right on Friday night and legitimately showcases that I'm not just practice player. I can do this in the game.
Didn't we talk to Coach Hawk in the parking lot before?
Yeah.
He said, "Oh, he's going to get some time.
Yeah,
he's going to get some time."
Yeah, and for him, that's saying a whole lot because
exactly.
Coach Hawk is reserved. He's a Spartan dog, and he's played in the league. He understands how to water the freshmen and grow them slowly, bring them along slowly. But you can see a little twinkle in his eye about this one.
Yeah,
he said he was
definitely.
special.
Definitely.
And so you got a couple special guys. And
Like, thank you, Washington, who you're about to go to play September 17th. But
Oh, yeah.
appreciate him.
yeah, we appreciate him.
that.
Most definitely. And the offensive line showed some positive signs to me. They were opening up some holes. It's not like it was a year ago. Again, we talked about K9 being able to make plays out of nothing. These guys were able to open holes for the killer bees and get some positive yards on the ground, which was much needed, and they were able to protect Payton Thorne. We'll talk more about you guys because obviously, as Xavier Henderson said, you're going to go as far as the offensive line unit goes this year, as far as what the season totals will be for Michigan State. But going to the defensive side of the ball,
That side of the ball.
Got some dogs out there.
man, I mean, there's so much to talk about here and unpack. But when you talk about the first game for one of the coaches, and it's the Brandon Jordan effect. And his debut, he seemed so calm and cool on the sideline, chewing that gum with that towel over his
Smooth
shoulder.
operator, we
man.
call it, right?
Like nothing can bother him, man. And he comes out, and his guys, they'll pass rush. He had one guy with 4 sacks, Jacoby Windmon.
Yeah.
4 sacks, only 3 weeks into the position, and is the Walter Camp Defensive Player of the Week.
Did you see his moves?
Oh,
How
can't believe my eyes.
Yeah, how can you block that? That move when he ducked under that offensive lineman, went for that. How can you game plan for that? If you're a tackle and you're watching film.
The real question, though, before you go, the real question is, are you coming off as a running back chipping that, though?
I'm cutting him.
Yeah, that's the only thing that's not moving, right?
Yeah, I'm going cutting him. 1, 2, 3 cartilage.
1, 2, 3 cartilage.
Oh, don't hurt the man. Don't hurt the man.
I am not going to be made a film reel on. Look at this guy. Boom. Rewind. Stop. You know how coaches have that cowboy there. You rewind. Stop. And they don't talk either. They're just pew, 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 pew. And then you're just sitting there like, no, I'm not going to be made a statistic. I'm cutting him if I'm a back.
But I think one thing you saw was that every position on that line was hungry to get to the quarterback.
Oh, yeah.
Like it was a different, like we talk about reckless abandon. They're going after it. Even if they don't get home, they're sprinting back to the huddle or getting back to the line, and it's coming every time, 1, 2, 3, every time. And I think we talk about the Brandon Jordan effect. Let's not forget about Kevin Vickerson, Spartan Dog too.
Oh, man, absolutely.
That one
Vic,
too.
Marco Coleman.
Yeah, all three of those guys.
And I think that's a tribute to I call it the Coach Tucker effect and that transfer portal, that the guy behind you is going to come in and ball out as well. There is no drop off. So when you're on the field, you do everything to stay on the field. You're not going to loaf. You're not going to do anything to get off the field. Everyone's going to run to the football, 11 hats on the ball. Hungry dogs run faster.
Breaking news. Speaking of that, the transfer portal. Just now, just in, Michigan State officially lands former 4-star class of 2022 defensive end Ken Talley from Penn State.
That's like the NFL trade. Like,
waiver wire.
Yeah.
They come in and do a couple practices and go.
But so that just happened. Do you attribute that to what he saw on that defensive line, and who's coaching that defensive
100%.
line, and it's being like, wow, those guys are eating out there.
He hasn't been to Penn State long enough to even know what's going on there. So he just, the first part of your freshman year where you get the blues and things are hard, you get the poor knees.
Right.
Before, we didn't have the opportunity to transfer like they do now. And so it's easier.
It's easy.
It's much easier, and then you have something enticing like, what's going on over here. You see all the sack creations happening and what's going on in East Lansing with Mel Tucker and his staff. Why not?
Right. And, and that plays a tribute to being, playing a Friday night game. The only game on, the bright lights are on East Lansing. You're sitting back. If you're a college athlete, kicking back, watching, what's going on here? Ooh, look at that. Ooh, who's that? Transfer portal. I didn't play well last night. I didn't get any looks. I
didn't get any picks.
Yeah, let me see.
Give me that air app.
And we struggled against Purdue.
But it's like adversity hits. I mean, we don't know the situation.
We don't know.
Obviously, so obviously, welcome to Spartan Nation.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, we need more dogs, clearly. That's what we're here for, too. But you talk about sack by committee. There was some solo sacks, obviously, with Jacoby, but there was some assists there, too.
Oh, yeah.
Like you talk about, it wasn't just one man wrecking shop.
Not at all. Bogle?
Yeah.
Big fella transfer from Florida. He got in there. He got 2.
I mean, our safety coming out there like Biscuit Bob here, man. Like Biscuit Bob Sanders.
Oh, my nightmares.
And that's, I think, every level you saw, it was just a hungry, even though we gave them some third downs, which clearly we need to correct from last season, which we talked about. But, no one's satisfied. And even Coach Tucker, if it starts at the bottom, he's not satisfied. Trickle-down effect. Everyone's like, we can play better. We know we can play better. I think Saturday you're going to see a more buttoned up, fast-paced, and we're going to hopefully score. How much you said? What was it?
We're going to hang 40 piece on those boys.
40 piece. We're talking about a 40-point win.
We're going to win by 40.
Oh, wow. That's a big statement right there by Choo Choo.
Choo Choo, Jehuu Caulcrick.
Serious about it now.
With the way that Coach Tucker is, the way that the mindset of these guys, and the way that they were after the game. They weren't happy with their performance after the game. There wasn't any hee ha ha in the locker room.
No dancing.
Like
Mac Brown. North Carolina after
61 points.
Appalachian State.
Antonio
Brown. Man, how old is Mac?
Can we please play that video? Please play that video. Mac dancing.
Look at it.
Yeah, so none of that. So I think they're going to come out ready to play, and hopefully Spartan Stadium will be electric again.
Yeah.
But they're definitely, I'm telling you, they're going to hang a 40 piece on Akron.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about the other production in the second level, the linebacker level. You said Aaron Brule, he had a sack. He got in there, but then you look at the production of Cal Halliday and Ben Van Sumeren.
Man,
those two guys.
my
God. Yes.
It feels like you're playing a video game and he got the full out sprint, just holding down lockdown everywhere. I mean, he's just
Sideline to sideline.
I told you, sideline to sideline. Literally. I mean, and he's just, you can hear him. You know, I'm sure Jay, you just heard people like panting at him, like he's on the neck.
Yeah, he's humming.
Oh, speaking of that, I do remember a play when the quarterback from Western was trying to roll out to the left side, and Van Sumeren was on him, and you could hear, I knew he could hear him breathing, and he just took the slide. Like, we're not gonna take any contact.
Not tonight.
No.
Not tonight.
I'm gonna save that ice bath.
Right. I want to play match in a few weeks here.
Yeah, but Cal Halliday was Cal Halliday once again.
Yep.
10 tackles, 2 solos, 8 assists. Van Sumeren, 11 tackles in his debut as a Spartan, a transfer from University of Michigan, actually out there with his younger brother who plays defensive tackle. They had an assist on a play, which was pretty neat to see, 2 brothers making a tackle. And as we continue now, look, the one dark spot on the evening was the injuries, the 2 injuries that happened, both on the defensive side of the ball. One to Darius Snow, who was a leader, an emotional leader on that defense.
We talked about it on our last show, is that, man, that hurts. Obviously, we're former players, and we've had our injuries, and when it's a season ending, I never had a season ending, but for the first game, like you built up this whole off season just for this season, just to go out that way. Now we know his heart, we know who he is, we know that he's a team player, and he'll be bigger and better coming out of that. But it's sad that we lost not 1 but 2. And X, I know X would come back stronger and quicker as soon as he's ready. But it was sad to see that. But you also know that the next man up too. And I think everyone knows that this is a committee. We win by a committee, we fall by a committee. So we got young guys that kind of had to step up. And I mean, X is both these guys are vocal communicator leaders on our team too, on our defense.
Right, you talked about that, like the safety being a person who's the quarterback of that secondary, right?
Absolutely.
That's what you played.
Yeah, now you're going to see, X and Darius probably, man, they might be on headset just to help coach these guys up, right? And which is, it's good to be a cheerleader and be able to support your team when physically you can't be there, but mentally you can always be there. So I will see those guys, you met some players, we play with players that's woe is me. It's all about me, and I shouldn't be here, I could be out there doing this, but you're not going to see that from those 2 guys. Those guys are going to step up and coach.
Yeah, you hear that a lot from Mel Tucker. He talks about those guys being very selfless players. And Jay, you've been a part of a lot of teams and a lot of players. You've seen this. Now, in your opinion, does the loss of those 2 gentlemen hurt MSU's championship chances?
I think at the very start, from obviously from the fans' perspective, they see the production and the productivity those guys bring every Saturday. They don't see what goes on behind the scenes. And I think that's why during the game, it was really a kick in the gut for the team, especially the defensive guys, the guys who leaned on those guys on the field to be their quarterback of the defense. But they're still going to be in, like Otis said, they're still going to be in helping these guys out. They're going to be watching film. They're going to be breaking film down. They might even be in game plan sessions with the coaches, so they can be the coaches for the players, behind the scenes. Because sometimes you can take away things differently from a teammate than you can from a coach. So I don't think it's going to hurt any chances of a championship. X, hopefully, they say he's going to come back this year. So hopefully he does, and come back at 100% and can continue. But I think the intangibles that these guys bring to the table is something that's not seen on field on Saturdays.
Good point. And you think about what Mel Tucker says. He does not talk about injuries at all, but he did, he doesn't want players talking about injuries or talking about anyone else on the team. That's what he'll handle. We know that we have officially lost Darius Snow for the season, and Xavier Henderson will come back at some point this year. What's next for Michigan State this week? Coming up, a game in the woodshed.
Yep.
Against the Zip